Today we're going to talk about categories of meetings. Have you ever found that meetings run long? They keep going on and on and on. People tend to talk a lot. Sometimes the meeting just wanders off into topics that were never intended. Well, this tool is designed to help you manage the time in your meetings. But first, let me share with you a few, I'll admit to you, quirky ideas. 3 ideas for keeping a meeting short. And then I'll talk about categories of meetings. The first idea is one that's often used, by the way. Many companies use this. In fact, we use it in our company. It's called standing meetings, where you have the meeting where no chairs in the room. Take all the chairs out, everybody has to stand. And when everybody has to stand, people tend to not talk as much, and meetings run quicker. In fact, what is common in many companies, in a manufacturing company, for example, 8 o'clock in the morning, everybody will get together and they will kind of discuss what is the day going to look like. A very common kind of a situation. In our company, we have something called a huddle. We get together, everybody's standing, and it's a 5-10 minute meeting, and it's the kickoff for the day. We do that each day. So standing meetings is one way to minimize the time in meetings. Second way to minimize the time in meetings, this is a great way. What you do is you have a buzzer, and you decide how frequently, but the buzzer buzzes, let us say, every 10 minutes the buzzer goes off. And the protocol in your company needs to be this. When the buzzer goes off, everybody in the meeting stands up from their chair and observes a 15-second silence, during which they introspectively analyze, what are we talking about? Was this the topic of the meeting? How did we get here? And through that introspective thought process, when they sit back down, the chances are the meeting is going to come back to the actual topic of interest. I have tried both of these 2 techniques in my career, but there's a third one that I've never tried. I'm going to share with you in the hopes that somebody would try this and see if it works. In this third method, you have a jar in the middle of the table in a meeting room, and the chair of the meeting keeps putting into the jar monopoly money at a rate that represents the amount of money being spent at that meeting by the participants sitting at the table. So more the number of participants, the more frequently money is going into the jar. And anybody in the meeting, when they have a new idea, somebody else could say, that is a great idea. You know, that idea was right there worth $500, and take $500 out of the jar. You know, as more money keeps going in the jar, more people will be thinking about how can I create value so that money can be taken out of the jar. Anyway, those are 3 ideas for keeping meetings short. But even then, meetings go on because people tend to talk a lot. And in this tool, Categories of Meetings, I'm going to give you a method by which you can keep meetings very streamlined. When you publish your agenda for the meeting, for each agenda item, the person in charge of the agenda should provide a category of what this meeting is about. And I have chosen 4 categories. The specific categories aren't as important as the idea of having categories and protocols that you follow for each category. So in my categories, the first of the 4 categories is report, where somebody comes to the meeting to report to others the status of some effort. Maybe a quality report on how the quality is progressing, a report on what the customer satisfaction survey said. So in a report, the presenter is giving information to the attendees. The protocol is the attendees are not supposed to provide any feedback to the presenter. The only questions they can ask is ones of clarification. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, or I didn't understand what you said. But input, as in, have you thought of this, Mr. Presenter, is not allowed. What that does is it keeps the conversation from going awry and keeps it focused on the presenter reporting to the attendees. That's the first category, report. Second category is exactly the opposite, input. For example, I would like your input on where the company picnic should be this summer. So those of you who have ideas on where the company picnic should be, please speak up. Now, in this agenda item, I, the presenter, have no intentions, nor should I be allowed to judge or provide any feedback to you on your idea. I'm simply going to record your idea. That keeps the meeting focused. So we've talked about report as a category, we've talked about input as a category. Third category is collaborate, where the purpose is that we are all going to talk about some topic, and through the conversation we're going to generate new ideas, but there is no intention, nor is there a desire that we shall come to any conclusion at the end of the conversation. What this allows for is a free-flow conversation for a pre-specified period of time. In all of those three categories, report, input, and collaborate, you'll find that the agenda item sticks to the time limit provided to the person who brought the agenda item to the table. In the fourth category, which is called decide, where now not only are we going to discuss, but we're going to make a decision, and somebody is the decision maker there. In that category, you'll find that you have a conversation and the time runs out and you are not able to make a decision. And in those situations, the time is the determining factor. You say, well, the discussion has to stop. We might have to bring this agenda item again at a future meeting or call a new meeting to have that discussion. Report, input, collaborate, decide. By having the categories very clearly specified a priori in the agenda for the meeting, you force participants to follow a protocol on how they are expected to behave with respect to each agenda item, and the agenda item stays on track within the specified time limit, and the whole meeting progresses more streamlined. So ask yourself, are my meetings running long? Can I do something to keep the meetings short? What can I do to keep the meetings on track? Understand the value of assigning categories to agenda items in your meetings.